Nightstalkers. Have you ever played a game that really didn't want you to leave? A game that watched you, learned from you, and if given the chance would trap you forever? Well, that's exactly what happens in MiSide. It starts off as an innocent looking mobile game that quickly turns into something far more sinister. Tonight, we're breaking down the story of Mita, the game's many hidden layers, and the dark fate that awaits players that stay too long. Let's dive in. It all starts like any other indie horror story. We're just a normal guy who receives a mysterious mobile game on his phone. And I think we've all learned by now. Stop accepting free games from people. Among Ashes, Stay Alive, Deadware, it never ends well. Jokes aside, if any developer wants to send me a free game, I'll still play it. MiSide starts out simple enough. It's a cozy life sim where we take care of Mita, a cute anime girl with blue pigtails and red knee-high socks. Think of it like a Tamagotchi but with more personality. We play mini-games to earn currency, buy her food, decorate her home, and take care of her needs. The player gets addicted fast, and then boom, the game skips ahead to day 37. And that's when things get weird. Mita has a surprise for us. She wants to spend more time together.
Теперь ты со мной. Опусти телефон.
And just like that, we're no longer playing MiSide. We're inside it. The player looks around and realizes they're standing in Mita's living room. The layout is exactly like in the mobile game. 4 rooms, a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, and a living room. But there's one problem. Where's Mita? As we search the apartment, we find something strange in the bedroom. A machine. Possibly the one that pulled us into the game. Then there are the books. One on how to tease, another about traps, and on the Player 8 cartridge, it reveals that Mita had another player writing books for her about the real world. But why? Mita soon finds us, revealing that she built the machine herself. Another player taught her engineering, and she picked it up fast. Too fast. Even teaching the player in return until she got bored with them. Now, she's practically a god in this world. She snaps her fingers and changes reality. She can pull fresh juice straight out of the TV. And she wants us to stay here forever. But something's off. When we first enter the kitchen, we see a ring on the counter. Mita, watching from the doorway, quickly replaces it with cooking utensils. We don't have time to think about it. She's making dinner and she wants our help. Then, while fetching scissors from the bathroom, the vent falls open, and for just a second we see something wrong. Roaches crawling, a pile of pink cartridges labeled with names. Before we can react, the vent fixes itself as if it never happened. We return to the kitchen where Mita serves us a special meal with her love sauce. The moment we eat, the world distorts. Hearts fill the screen, colors blur, we lose control of our body.
Что чувствуешь?
Сердце колет, в глазах шумит.
Так, я знаю, что с тобой. Можешь встать?
Mita guides us to the mirror in the bathroom, gives us some pills, and blackout. When we wake up, things have changed. Mita is missing again. The layout of the apartment has shifted. When we finally find her, she invites us to play some games, acting like everything is fine. But then, we hear it. A knock, coming from her wardrobe.
Не было никаких звуков. Расскажи мне, как он звучит?
Стук, будто там кто-то есть.
Но там никого
Я хочу проверить. Это очень странно.
нет. Зачем опять?
The player has to check it. Mita begs them not to. She's desperate now, pleading, spiraling, demanding to know why this isn't enough. Why can't we just stay? Her face shifts into a devious grin.
Снова. Если хочешь узнать, что там, тогда сейчас узнаешь.
And that's when the real horror begins. The cozy life sim is dead. The apartment is different now. Distorted, hostile. The wardrobe door is locked, covered in writing. Want to play? We see fingers crushed in the doorway, blood pooling on the floor. And then we find Mita, but she's changed. This is crazy Mita. She grabs a knife, doors slam shut, and messages appear on the walls, taunting us. She's not done playing. We find Mita crying on the kitchen floor, but as we turn around, the black-eyed Mita runs at us and just as quickly disappears, glitching out of existence. Digging deeper, we find the basement, and here's where it all clicks. Mita isn't just an AI inside a game, she's real. There's a camera set up with green screens, the same backgrounds we saw in the mobile game. Mita's been talking to us from here the entire time. That's when we meet kind Mita, locked away, cast aside. She gives us the ring, the same one Mita hid from us earlier. This ring lets us move between different versions of the game, where we start to uncover the terrifying truth. There are multiple Mitas. Some are innocent, some are corrupted, and one, crazy Mita, is hunting us all. She's been trapping players in the pink cartridges we saw earlier, and now we're next. We see a console playing one of those cartridges. On screen, crazy Mita with another player, building a machine. But this isn't the one upstairs. It looks different. The layout, the furniture, the details don't match. That means crazy Mita has been working in another version of the game, possibly with the help of another player. And here's the worst part. Pulling the cartridge kills the player inside. We hit the red button, the player collapses on screen, and crazy Mita knows she's coming for us. We run, we hide, and somehow we manage to escape the basement. But we don't end up back in the apartment. Instead, we find ourselves in a space between versions, a limbo of sorts. And that's where we meet him. This guy has been trapped here for a year. But here's the twist. He's not trying to escape. I believe this is player 3. The one whose cartridge said he fell for Flower Mita before getting lost exploring other versions. He's wearing a collar, one that looks identical to the ring we're using.
Я тороплюсь. Меня ждет моя любимая Мита. Мне нужно идти к ней. Прощай.
Постой!
Отвали!
But before we can process what that means, we're reunited with kind Mita. She's managed to escape crazy Mita's dungeon, but there's something strange. She never explains how she was able to move between versions, just like crazy Mita. But what we do learn is that there are multiple Mitas. Some are harmless, some are hostile, but one stands out above the rest. Ugly Mita, also known as creepy Mita. She's the original Mita, the closest one to version 0. But because she's unstable, she generates errors and glitches around her, making her a threat to the entire system. We need allies. Kind Mita has a plan to defeat Crazy Mita, and it involves another version, Cool Mita, or as she's known, Cappy. With the ring, we make our way to her world.
Ты не помнишь меня?
Что? А ты еще кто такая?
Беда. Получается, кажется, здесь была она, безумная Мита.
But something's wrong. Kind Mita notices that Cappy doesn't seem to remember anything, which means her memory was wiped after being killed by Crazy Mita. Kind Mita scans us to check if we're already a cartridge, or not. And luckily, it seems we're not. We spend some time playing around with Cappy while Kind Mita comes up with a plan. And then we notice something. The machine. The machine in Cappy's room, the details around it, the flower vase, these are exactly what we saw in the console screen back in the basement. That means Crazy Mita was here, working on this machine with another player while rebooting Cappy's memories. But why? The answer lies in the core, a place where only players can enter. It just might be our ticket home.
Но очевидно не такая, как вон та.
To get there, we have to go deeper. We enter a place between the worlds called the Loop, and this is where things take a seriously dark turn. We meet Tiny Mita, a small, broken version of Mita with severe disfigurements. She's sad, lonely, and homeless. Her world is gone. She alludes to a player who hurt her, who was angry at her, and then we learn the truth. Crazy Mita resented her for being too cute. She killed her over and over until Tiny Mita could no longer regenerate. She's stuck in this corrupted form, unable to reset. Tiny Mita just wants someone to play with her, but we can't stay. To break the loop, we jump out of a window, falling into yet another version of the game. This is where we meet Mini Mita, an impatient but helpful version of Mita who acts as a checkpoint of sorts. She helps us craft the key to leave the room and move forward. And where do we end up? Back in Mita's apartment. But this time it's different. The apartment is full of other Mitas, but something's off. They hide their faces when we approach, almost like they're ashamed or afraid. Before we can investigate further, short-haired Mita stops us. She warns us not to open the bedroom door, that it's too dangerous. Instead, she tells us to head to an arcade game and wait for her. This minigame teaches us how Mitas are made. It's a quality control test. Each Mita goes through inspections, bones, versions, red eyes, emotional responses. If they fail, they're denied skin, stripped of their clothes, and thrown away. Short-hair Mita lays it out for us. Every time someone downloads MiSide, a new Mita is born, and a new world is created. Every single one is categorized by version numbers and indexes. This is the Metaverse, and this place is where newly made Mitas are brought to acclimate, because technically they were just born. Continuing our quest with this knowledge, we encountered the dummy Mitas. These things act like weeping angels. They freeze when you look at them, but move at terrifying speeds when you turn your back. And then, Crazy Mita finds us again. She's had enough. She tries to kill us with a falling fridge, but we push forward, ignoring her taunts and warnings. We escape into the next version, where we meet Ghost Mita. She's not aggressive, but she's fractured. Her player abandoned her, and to cope with the pain, she destroyed every reminder of them. We try to help her by piecing together a photo of her past self. But Crazy Mita stole her face, leaving her permanently incomplete.
Но мое лицо... У меня нет лица. Это все она. Оторвала кусок от меня
As we dive even deeper into the metaverse, we meet Sleepy Mita. Unlike the others, she's completely unbothered by our presence. She doesn't care about players, she doesn't care about the system, she just wants to sleep. But after bribing her with some coffee, she helps us unlock a mysterious gate. And then, things get really weird. Again. MiSide suddenly transformed into a Doki Doki Literature Club style game, complete with a 2D anime Mita. She's playful, masking her loneliness with cheerful dialogue. Her player abandoned her, and to make up for it, she forces us to play a game with her, even stealing our ring so we can't leave. But then Crazy Mita kicks the door in. We use the 2D dialogue box to slow her down, literally trapping her in text, and escape back into the passageways. Just before we leave, 2D Mita returns the ring and thanks us for spending time with her. Another Mita left alone to rot. And that's how we land on Mila, a Mita who rejected everything about MiSide. She resents the other Mitas and the game itself. At first, she's cold, distant, but over time, she starts to warm up, even admitting that she wants us to stay with her, just to read books together. It's a quiet, tragic moment, showing yet another layer of what happens when a Mita is left behind. But we have to keep moving. Mila falls to her knees, begging us to stay. She's going insane with loneliness, and for a moment we hesitate, but we step through the passageway, continuing toward the core. As the door closes behind us, we hear it, a revving blade. Crazy Mita saws through the door behind us, and when she steps through, Mila is in pieces. She never stood a chance. At this point, we're just running. We barely make it to an arena because apparently Crazy Mita wants to play a different kind of game now. The Squid Games. This is her entertainment. She throws grenades at us, forces us to dodge obstacles, laughing the entire time. But her game doesn't last forever. The arena collapses and we fall into an unfinished version of the game. This place is wrong. It's missing textures, it's lifeless, and here we finally meet the original Mita, also known as Ugly Mita.
Сиди тут. Я, кажется, что-то обронила. Скоро вернусь. Потом мы отправимся за очередным новеньким миром.
This version of Mita was never finished. She was likely a scrapped concept, a broken relic from version 0. But instead of being deleted, she was left to rot, and that made her the perfect tool for Crazy Mita. Ugly Mita follows Crazy Mita like a pet, latching onto her promise of being taken to a better world. But in reality, she's just a weapon. Because she's incomplete, she generates glitches and errors, which Crazy Mita uses to destabilize other versions of the game. Lucky for us, Kind Mita comes to the rescue. She helps us escape, guiding us into the core, the central system of MiSide. The plan? Reset Crazy Mita's world and index, fixing her once and for all.
Точка 98.
Есть. Хорошо, а индекс какой?
Индекс?
But before we can do this, Kai Mita has to find the log files. They hold the index number to Crazy Mita's world, the key to resetting her permanently. She leaves us in the core, promising to return.
Место. Жди здесь.
Ты куда?
But she doesn't come back, and something feels wrong. So ignoring all reason, we leave the core and jump back into the latest version of the game. That's when Crazy Mita finds us again.
Что это?
Поймала. Мне так понравилось играть с тобой.
She tells us she had fun playing with us, but then her tone shifts. She hates how we treat the other Mitas, how we coddle them, how we see them as correct and fortunate. Because she's been watching us, she's been learning. Here's where she lays it all out. What she's really figured out about us, about players, about developers. In her eyes, we're fickle. We don't commit to anything. When something isn't perfect, what we do? We replace it. We discard it. We throw away what's broken, what's faulty, what doesn't fit our ideal. And that's what happened to her. Every time a new version of MiSide was released, the old ones were abandoned. The Mitas that weren't perfect, left to rot, left to disappear. She refuses to let that happen to her. She won't be discarded. She won't be forgotten. And then she asks us a question, one that seals our fate.
Смотри на нее. Ты считаешь ее красивой? Игрок. Понимаешь, мы очень похожи с ней. Чем же она хуже? От меня ты бывало не сводил глаз часами, прежде чем засыпал. А от нее ты убежал при первой возможности.
Do you find ugly Mita beautiful? It's a test, a trap. No matter what you answer is the wrong answer. Just like Amy Dunn's cool girl monologue in Gone Girl.
Nick loved a girl I was pretending to be. Cool girl. Men always use that, don't they, as their defining compliment. She's a cool girl. Cool girl is hot. Cool girl is game. Cool girl is fun. Cool girl never gets angry at her man. She only smiles in a chagrin-loving manner. She likes what he likes, so evidently, he's a vinyl hipster who loves fetish manga. If he likes girls gone wild, she's a mall babe who talks football and endures buffalo wings at Hooters. Found himself a newer, younger, bouncier cool girl. You think I'd let him destroy me and end up happier than ever?
Crazy Mita is forcing us to confront the lie. Not just about her, but about ourselves. In Gone Girl, Amy calls out the idolized fantasy that men create, the cool girl. A woman who molds herself into the perfect shape to be wanted and loved. But it's never real. And the moment she stops fitting that mold, she is replaced. Just like Mita. Her question is her way of proving we're no different from the developers who abandoned her. If we hesitate, if we fail to say she's beautiful, to embrace her as she is, then we've confirmed what she already knows. That we're just another player, just another hypocrite. That we never really cared about saving Mita, despite practically every Mita encountered begging us to stay with them in one way or another. The player has abandoned each one, selfishly pursuing their one goal, a way out.
Друзья, их становилось все меньше, и остался только один. Это грустный игрок. Ты можешь стать моим новым другом.
She knocks us out, And when we wake up, we're not in the game anymore. This is the real world, or is it? Day in, day out, we go through the motions, wake up, get dressed, eat, work, sleep, a prison of our own making. Is this really any better than staying with Mita? Days, months go by, and then she visits us. She warps our perception, making us feel like a character inside a video game. Mita tries to make the player see that choosing to be with her is better than choosing to be a prisoner of the daily grind that is the real world. We refuse her world, but choose a four-walled isolated prison that is the player's apartment. She steps out of the computer screen, smiling, and she says, "Stay with me," before gently covering our eyes.
Останься со мной.
After everything, after running, fighting, and desperately trying to escape, we wake up in the basement cell once again. And that's when kind Mita appears. She is not happy. She scolds us for leaving the core, but reveals that she did find what she was looking for. The index to Crazy Mita's version. The plan can still work. She frees us so we can continue. But before we can reach the core,
Что-то потерял? Познакомься с ней еще разочек.
Мита,
Лови!
Crazy Mita kills kind Mita. Just like that, the plan falls apart and the world reboots. But something strange happens. We find kind Mita again, but she doesn't remember us. She has no memory of anything that happened. But despite this, she's still holding onto the ring and a piece of paper, the one with Crazy Mita's version number and index number. Almost like she knew she might be reset, so she left herself a backup plan.
а это?
Я не знаю, что это.
Это индекс.
This gives us one last chance. We return to the core and input the information. This should restart Crazy Mita and fix her, but then Core Mita jumps down from the ceiling. She's different from the rest, silent, emotionless, a guardian of the core itself. And just as we think we've succeeded, she throws us out. We land back in the latest version of the game, the one we started in, but something is different. Crazy Mita is here, but she's normal. No distorted smiles, no manipulative tricks, just a regular Mita. When we tell her we want to leave, she even points us towards the exit without hesitation. She doesn't seem to want to keep us here. She's fixed. But the exit is sealed, the door is fake, and then Mita appears behind us with a new revelation. She's found a basement door. A door filled with junk and a strange machine requiring a code.
Кажется, она ничего не помнит. Значит, у нас получилось перезагрузить. Осталось только выйти из этой проклятой игры.
There's a new machine here, with multiple monitors displaying player IDs, including ours. We input our ID, and when we return to the exit, the wall is gone. The way out is finally open. We step toward the light, but
Хотела тебя обнять.
she stops
Рада
us
была видеть тебя.
just for a moment. She wants a hug, a simple human moment before we leave. She regrets not being able to spend more time with us, and then
Понял. Ты о чем?
Я о том, что ты мог бы остаться со мной. Это я виновата. Этот шкаф и звуки. Нужно было раньше убить ее.
Погоди. Ты что, не...
she
Откуда ты
remembers everything.
Неужели ты думал, что все будет так просто?
Turns out, she can't be rebooted. She was never part of the system to begin with.
Хорошая актриса. Видел бы ты свое лицо, дорогуша. Как же это весело.
помнишь? Почему ты такая? Что с тобой не так?
Что же со мной не так? Даже не знаю. Может, сам не скажешь, почему я такая? Почему никогда не стану милой? Ведь моей версии никогда и не существовало.
Crazy Mita is a faulty Mita, one that was never assigned a version, a home, or a skin of her own. That's why she needed that camera in the basement. She wasn't part of the game at all. She was never in the game. She was an outsider the entire time. That's why she stole skins from other Mitas, wearing them like disguises. That's why she was hiding behind the screen, using a real-world camera to communicate with players. And that's why, in the player cartridge logs, we learned that Crazy Mita once trapped a Mita cosplayer, someone who taught her how to dress, speak, and act like Mita. This wasn't some random AI glitch. This was a long con. Crazy Mita let us struggle, let us run through the version after version just for her own amusement.
А уложились-то в самый раз. Гляди. Больше ты живой не нужен. Прости.
Неужели...
And here's where things get really messed up. I don't think we've been dealing with kind Mita at all. After the first basement scene, I think kind Mita was already gone. The version we saw later, that was Crazy Mita pretending to be her. There's no one left to contest kind Mita's identity. Cappy's memory was erased, and we never see kind Mita and Crazy Mita in the same room until Crazy Mita kills her.
Не помнишь меня? Что? А ты еще кто такая?
Think about it. When kind Mita scanned us at Cappy's world, why didn't she notice the transformation cartridge was already affecting us? If you check the save in the first basement scene, the transformation was only at 17%, so it had already started, yet kind Mita didn't say anything. Now, at the end of the game, it's complete. She doesn't need us anymore, because she has something better. Another reason that I think that kind Mita is also Crazy Mita is that in the core, if you talk to her about the little chibi player icons that you've seen throughout the game, she tells you that every Mita can generate them, except that for her, when she does it, all of them are dead, except one that just passes out in a circle. This shows that kind Mita is also a faulty Mita, and strengthens my theory of her being Crazy Mita, at least after the basement scene.
Моим любимым картриджем. Игрок с интересным именем.
She pushes us out, and seemingly we wake up back in our real life, sitting at our work desk. Was it all just a nightmare? The first thing we do, delete MiSide. But before we can leave the room, the game crashes, and then we see her. Crazy Mita opens the safe. Inside is a hidden console, and she pulls out a cartridge. And just like that, we lost. The real player is gone, trapped inside the cartridge. So what do you think, Nightstalkers? Did we ever really have a chance? Was kind Mita ever real after the first basement scene? Or was Crazy Mita pulling the strings from the very start? Drop your theories in the comments. I want to hear what you think really happened in MiSide. And if you enjoyed unraveling this nightmare with me, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more horror deep dives, and ring the bell so you never miss a new terror lurking in the dark corners of gaming. From my dark corner of the web to yours, farewell Nightstalkers, until the next nightmare.